Morning and welcome everyone to Nightfall in Amsterdam. Tonight we are joining a group of Guru as they are meeting with a war council, as a matter of fact. Uh, for those who have maybe not been able to keep up, we have an ongoing conflict between the Sept of the Riddling Waters and the Sept of the Frozen Forest. Kind of been mostly Cold War or small skirmishes. However, it sounds like the intent is to escalate it to a single large conflict and put an end to it. To that end, a uh, war pack has come to the Sept to assist, um, as well as a group of their Fey allies, and they are meeting this evening here to kind of discuss what the plan of attack is, what specific objectives are, um, and to what extent this action is going to be carried out. They are not meeting on the Sept, however. They have decided to meet off Sept at a fairly wild park. Um, in fact, just other than lacking a spirit, it could certainly has the potential that it could have been a cairn. It's very, very wild and rustic. It does have a couple of cabins on it and campsites, but everything is pretty secluded and spread out. Um, but they've kind of sent word to those who they feel would be um, good candidates to be involved in this action, including both Eagles Pack and the Wild Hunters Pack, inviting them to this meeting here. They're meeting at a basically like around the campfire by some of these cabins. And as you guys arrive, they're dining and talking and drawing plans in the basically in the dirt, drawing different plans of attack and that sort of thing. With that, I'll turn it over to everyone to introduce themselves. The pack leader is Gregor McManus, and he's kind of leading the discussions primarily.
Eric walks in full body armor. There's a hatchet on his shoulder. He just walks in like the big rune that he is. There's definitely a presence about him. He scans over everybody. There is a very cold precision about him. As the people are, sitting, eating, he does a measured look up, look down, and look around, and he just stands there and folds his arms, waiting.
Coming not far behind him is Runa. She is dressed much like you see in the picture. A little bit more casual, but you get the hint that shirt she's wearing is made from some kind of snakeskin, maybe?
Bear will kind of make her way in after that. She's dressed in her typical blue jeans and flannel shirt and boots, leather jacket. Just kind of gives Runa and Eric a nod.
Yeah, there's a polite nod in return from Rona.
Eric just nods at her and Fenris.
Lucas steps out from the Umbra and walks closer to where everyone's congregated and gives everyone the chin up, probably go and nod.
Abby will be sitting or not far behind Air, just kind of staring at her phone.
Veronica will be sitting with Air. She's very serious.
Eric will just look around, seeing that everybody is here. The first thing I'm going to say to all of you, we're meeting off-sept during a time of war. Anyone else not see a problem with this?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure there's a good reason for it, though.
I'm sure there are good reasons for many things that have been going on lately.
Gregor looks up at you and he says, there's also a good number of things going on. And my concern is whose reasons are they? And why are those reasons not being discussed?
Indeed, I understand the Shadow Lords and Bonar have authority over my own kinfolk now, and where they're moved without my permission of my tribe's kinfolk included. Anyone else noticing this?
Well, it's definitely, yeah, been noticed. I mean, just up and out and gone. Some people didn't even know.
It would
She
be at
kind of-
least a partial explanation for why, from all the kinfolk I talked to, the only Shadow Lord they'd seen in a while had been a lupus.
There's not many Shadow Lords on this sept. The one that mostly talks to people is Petra's. If you can find him.
It's true.
I was told by the Wormfold that Colin the Fianna has been one of the main instigators of this, rising and prosper, along with Bonars and Shadow Lords.
Of moving the kinfolk?
Indeed.
What the heck does it matter to Colin whose kinfolk go where?
I don't think it matters to Colin. I think it matters to our enemy.
That is the more likely scenario.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
means any plan of attack we will do will be immediately compromised.
And Gregor looks at you and he says, I am newer to the area, so I was not privy to all the events leading up to it, but my understanding is this Colin also offered his tavern as a safe space for kinfolk previously as well.
Did.
He did. But moving our kin without our permission is another thing. And if he's involved in that, I would like a word with him.
You know, here's something else I've been thinking about. We've been told time and time again that nobody can find the sept unless they've been invited there, right?
Precisely.
So, wouldn't that be the safest place for the kinfolk?
Yes, in theory.
So, either it isn't as safe as they made it sound, or yeah, there's some other reason to do it.
Well, we have two matters there, and I think the first one would be if they are concerned that our enemy has someone on the inside, because they could lead others. However, I find it suspicious that of all those involved in transporting the kinfolk, the only one mentioned by name is Colin. The only one not a member of the Shadow Lords or the Monars is Colin. And if I were a Shadow Lord looking to play some underhanded games, whether for my own ends or because I lack faith in my allies, pointing them towards someone tangentially related or someone who could be construed as being involved would be an easy way to do it. I don't know what Colin's actual activities have been like. I know he has been primarily at his bar. But beyond that, I cannot speak to his actions or motives. I can say that most of the Bone Gnars seem to have vacated the sept to care for kinfolk, including our den father. Most of the Shadow Lords seem to have vacated, including their kinfolk.
John,
He kind of glances at Veronica at that, raises an eyebrow.
John, I have a quick question for you. And then I will shuffle back out.
Sure.
I assume Truth of Gaia is single target.
Yes.
Then I am opting for the NPC. Please let me know if he lies. I managed to roll a 10, so unless his manip sub is over 10, you just give me a little heads uppy. And people may absolutely try to spot Grace. She's just going to be held a spot. I've got the little thing in the side chat there. But I'll pop back out and let Lucas back in.
Before we start, what did you mention out of game, Holly? Because I was looking at what Willow texted me.
No, they mentioned the Shadow Lords and their kinfolk bit, and she just kind of glanced at Veronica. That's all.
Oh, my character's pissed about this.
Which means, if Gregor is indeed a scapegoat for some Shadow Lord plot, he either knows and is a willing participant, or indeed he is a fool, being led along on a string.
Well, knowing Colin, yeah, more likely the fool bit. I mean,
Forgive me for my suspicion, but we also said the same of Rat, and she turned out to be a traitor as well.
it's true.
So I would have him questioned either way. It is only the safest priority. Leaving a drunk to be a drunk, if he is indeed that, he deserves punishment for not being aware, and if he is a traitor, well, then he deserves something else.
The woman who was sitting by the fire, she'd been tracing plans in the dirt with a dagger, and she turns and says, "Was not this rat also one of the Nars,
She was.
the rest of which have suspiciously disappeared?"
Raises an excellent point. Eric points like that is at her. She raises a good point. This is too interconnected.
There are all kinds of things off here.
What about the new Bonar on Sept?
Eva?
No, newer.
I'm afraid I don't know who you're talking about.
A young Galliard, he arrived a couple of days ago. His name is Santos.
That's what his name was. Yes.
I've yet to meet him.
I could have Grace interrogate him.
Wouldn't hurt.
Arrive late after the rest have gone. Possibly a patsy here to take the fall or to throw off suspicion.
Or perhaps
Possibly completely ignorant, but it's worth at least following up.
I'll have Grace tail him. She won't be seen. Now the question is, where do we move from here? Because attacking the Sept is all well and good, but if they're aware of what we're doing, and we will have to relay our orders through the worm foe, through authorities, we don't know who's compromised, do we?
Perhaps that is where we should start.
The worm foe seems suspicious. That leads me to believe that he is unaware as well.
If one is part of the problem, they will feign uncertainty to ensure their cover.
Thorgrim looks at you. He says, "The wormfoe is always suspicious. It's in his tribe's nature. That's how they've survived as long as they have. If he's suspicious, it's usually rightly so, however."
He is a Silverfire, so he's not a Shadow Lord.
He arches one eyebrow and says, "I would not tell him nor any Silverfang around him that he is a Silverfang." There are things that don't add up. The question is this a matter of our enemies having inside people, or is it something else going on? Because it sure seems to me that a bunch of Fianna and Get going off to a large conflict. And of course, where else would we be but the front of that fight? Leaves the Shadow Lords in an excellent position to uh, maneuver themselves up the ladder, as it were.
Yes.
Bone gnawers are always convenient stepping stones.
Raya, if I may, I don't think it is entirely a coincidence that this happens as we can no longer find the Shadow Lord whom my Alpha challenged in order to move up in rank, and his challenge was successfully completed.
Orgrim says, I had heard something of that, and yes, it does seem odd that he would disappear so quickly. Allegedly, the Shadow Lords have gone to guard the kinfolk, but what reason would he have for not making that proclamation?
Perhaps it did not go according to his plan.
I believe with my Alpha being as vocal as he has been on the topic of traitors, suspicion of people, and pushing for this Cold War to end and us to finally strike back and reclaim the kin that have been taken from us, he has made himself a threat.
Yes, and if you were looking to advance your own position following a conflict, being bested by one of the warriors who goes into that conflict would not help your position.
NiA will suffer either way. So where do we strike?
Well, we were given intel that the sept itself was moved. The Cairnheart was relocated. However, it was also done so after being damaged. So it's likely that they do not have a well established bond.
Eric kind of was like, kind of did attempted to do a scouting mission. They have a lot of spirits watching their bond.
I was not talking about this raid. If we're to do anything, we need to find out who these traitors are, who they're undermining us. Otherwise, we play exactly into their hands. The Sept of the Frozen Forest is not going anywhere. If we go in, and we will win, we play exactly like they want to. I don't believe in taking an enemy in the front when an enemy at my back is ready to go.
So you propose the first step is we track down the kinfolk and identify if indeed there is treachery afoot. If so, remove the traitors and then deal with the frozen forest.
Precisely. That way, any attempt to hinder our movement or our actions is not hindered. We can strike at full force with full concentration and not have to worry who has a knife ready to go into our side. Because quite frankly, the only people I trust in this room are my two packmates.
Thorgrim looks at you and says, well, you should hang out with the wormful more often. You guys are both suspicious as can be.
They have taken my kin. They have not earned my suspicion, they have earned my wrath.
As well as mine.
So, who's our target to investigate? I suggest the Fianna boy. Frank and I can make him squeal easily.
I suggest we see if he's involved. If not, he may be aware of other kinfolk's movements.
Like I said, Veronica and I can make him squeal easily.
I think the additional step would be if we can identify where they are, and we believe they are setting up a play for us, we could continue with the attack on the frozen forest and have a standby team prepared to strike when they move. If we know it's a trap, but we trigger it anyway, play into their hands, but do not let them see the blade behind their neck.
That is risky. We don't know if we can trust the support team. We don't know if we can trust anyone.
Gregor looks at you and says, "That's why you would put together the team. I wouldn't suggest you miss the battle, but you have a substantially sized pack. You've worked with the other pack here. Alternatively, yes, we could split off part of the war pack that I brought. I am suspicious of pretty much every other guru here. I would agree with you, who is not at this meeting presently. I would say the exception being Petrus, because I know his story and because she is the one who came and put us in contact with the Sept after the conflict escalated. I am very concerned that the Right Master is such an oddity, being a silver fang and a white priest. The Fangs have not been our allies in this conflict. I do not expect that.
It appears that whatever greed the Shadow Lords seem to have had at the opportunity of power has corrupted their honor. So, if we are to create a team to eliminate any potential traitors and locate the kinfolk, because I doubt most of us will go into battle with the knowledge that our kinfolk could be put at risk at any time.
During this scene, Veronica's gonna pack link to her pack mates that are present here. Pack link, one of the ideas that we could do also, so I don't want to get too elaborate. We could see if we could bait whatever traitors here with false information. Like make them believe we found somebody or make them believe we're going somewhere. Depending how tonight goes.
That would entail knowing who they are. And that we don't know yet, not without research.
And it would need to be a falsehood carefully crafted to...
This is a pack link, Runa.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the part about it being a pack link.
It's okay.
Just kidding!
So how do you plan to accomplish that? Are you going to have multiple false plans that we're going to circulate, or just one and see who bites on it?
One idea was one and see who bites on it.
I think it's a starting point.
But let's see where this goes first, just so it's... If everyone's done, we could stop the backlink.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, how do we lure out a rat? One way, the easy way to do it is plan something that a rat full of fat and greed will take. So do we have something like that?
Thorgrim looks and he says, he looks at Aaron, then at Eric, and he says, well, I'm sure a young kinfolk with the powers of a shaman would be convenient bait.
Yes. She kind of raises an eyebrow.
Because, of course, if they're gathering kinfolk with the intent to hold them, the more valuable the kinfolk are, the more useful.
Indeed.
Your younger sister happens to be at my home sept, and both of you have a distant cousin, Angrim, here in the city. He has been evading this evacuation plan. But with preparation could be a convenient bait.
Then set it up.
How far
Air
do we let them take it? Do we trail them all the way to their holding?
all the way to the holding. Or we interrupt partway through and take one alive.
That was my thought. I like it better than sending two more kinfolk into what may be a hazardous situation.
No, I say we interrupt partway through. Kill the rest, leave one alive. That way we can talk.
That seems like a prudent plan as well.
Your little nod.
I like it better than sending them, as I said, all the way in. We can make arrangements for them to arrive here so that they can be secured with the other kinfolk. We trail them when they are being transported, interrupt it, and get the necessary information to get to the final destination ourselves.
I have another idea about infiltration. Once we eliminate these people, they're beginning to panic. I believe there is one particular Ragabash that could do this logically. It is not mine. I believe it is the children of Gaia, Ragabash Willow, as a mole. Who would trust a Metis? Particularly one that we have known to dislike, particularly one that has At times, come and clash with members of my pack. Hell, even Lucas could do it as well. That way, it would make more sense that they would be trying to get at us now, wouldn't it? I could have Grace watch them as they go in, track where they go, where they end up. That way, we now know where the exact site is, and we have two people, very capable, competent guru being relayed information. I understand the worry of making a mistake, but it's a risk. And if this is what Lucas and the young Ragabash need to prove themselves, then I'd rather take that chance.
I'd offered to do that already.
And Gregor looks at you and he says, the problem is if the Shadow Lords are not working with the enemies of the Frozen Forest, if in fact we have two fronts here, Willow may not be our best candidate, depending how well educated those enemies are.
It's an option. But judging by their tactics, if they were really trying to kill us and were really competent, they would have done it already.
I think if we are going to look at using the Medish Willow as a infiltrator, it may be better suited to sending him into the Frozen Forest. Because while he is unaware of it, I was able to discover, and in fact, know that the Magnusons are aware of it. Because the rising star of the Frozen Forest, this Vidar Magnuson, shares a father with Willow.
What?
That's Air just kind of has this look on her face like, are you fucking shitting me right now? Like, what?
They had cast him out at a very young age, and he was unaware of this.
Then how would they accept him in if they cast him out?
Because Vidar Magnuson also killed his father. And from what the rumors I've heard in other regions are, he killed his father for casting out his brother, abandoning his young newborn brother.
That is a lot. That is a heavy risk.
It is. There's, of course, the risk that Vidar welcomes his brother back with open arms and is accepted willingly. It's possible that this Medish, for the first time, feels welcomed and accepted and embraces that opportunity.
Then have a Galliard give him a link with me.
Or bind him to an oath. Black Unicorn doesn't tolerate disloyalty, from what I hear.
That is a valid point. To the best of my knowledge, the children of Gaia are largely not involved in this fight on either side, not being prominent in the area.
Then simply have him link with Runa and have him swear an oath on his totem. If he breaks it, I don't pity the man that Black Unicorn comes after.
A valid point.
I'm pretty sure he'll make the oath to you guys, and I sincerely doubt he'll betray. He doesn't have too many places to go as a menace.
Neither did Rat, but she still did.
And the woman looks at you and says, "It's possible she had more places to go than we knew about."
And also, Rat was afraid of being punished and was running away from that from our pack.
One traitor is all it takes to breed more. I would rather not have the risk.
So we track down the kinfolk. If, in fact, something is suspicious, we eliminate the threat and secure the kinfolk, then move on the frozen forest and eliminate that. Are we all in agreement?
Nods.
Then I think the next scope is if these guru who should know us on sight, as they are allies, do not cooperate when we arrive at near the kinfolk. Do we operate on the assumption that they are a threat and eliminate them?
If they forbid me from going near my kinfolk, they die. It is that simple to me.
No. The next step would be the frozen forest. To what degree are we going to eliminate it?
Eric watches everybody waiting for the reaction before he says anything.
Runa's looking to Eric.
The Fae have already agreed that they will split the freehold, severing it, keeping the enemy Fae from engaging.
I believe that any member of that sept should be interrogated, judged, and if they deem to be their crimes, such as the taking of kinfolk or that, they should be punished with the right of silver death. The rest of them, those who do not swear immediate loyalty to our sept and a permanent refusal of aggression near our sept and our endeavors will continue as they were. They will have the option of honorable surrender, but if they refuse, they will die.
What I also want, in addition to that, we find out if there are any there that have done anything to our kinfolk, even in the past before. Those ones should be met with the most harshly.
There will be interrogations if they surrender. That is mandatory. But if they don't surrender and there are prisoners, they will be interrogated with no mercy. They will be, like Veronica said, judged. And depending on their tribe, they will be executed by their tribal rights. The Get of Fenris will be left to me. I will execute them in the old way. All the representing of the other tribes will have their due cause, of course, as a matter of respect.
Thorgrim looks at you and looks at Aaron and says, "Believe you are not the only one with a grudge to settle.
He's not.
I suggest a cooperative effort. The head falls faster when the neck is cut from both sides."
Then I better keep up. I've got a long body count ahead of me.
You two could just do a wishbone and make a wish. And Veronica just gives a evil smirk.
Lucas snorts.
Out of game visual is just like Mortal Kombat, where you just take a person from each side and just rip them in half.
So we agree that any who surrender will have a chance for interrogation.
They will. So long as they honorably surrender.
Any of the rest will be slain immediately. And this sept that they have established, how do we approach that?
A new governorship. New alpha, new leadership, ones that we can trust. The Magnuson family will be no longer allowed any form of leadership in that sept ever again. It should be a sept of the nation to correct the heresies that were done.
And do we leave it at this location that they have selected?
We should keep it
We
at its
leave it
origin.
with the spirit that has so long been their ally.
And who is the spirit?
It seems to be an aspect, not even truly the spirit we were led to believe due to its tie to a freehold. But it seems to be an aspect of the Snow Queen, however, closer to a fairy Ice Queen.
Bear kind of looks around like, ha, I fucking knew it.
She is a very wonderful woman. We had a wonderful dinner that one night, and oh, sorry.
Snow Queen is of our brood, my brood. And she is the first and foremost of respect and hospitality and tolerance. It could be a fitting gesture. But she will need new leadership under her court.
Would you say that this Snow Queen and her sept have demonstrated respect, hospitality, and tolerance?
Their sept took our kin. Their hospitality left. Their sept murdered my father. Their hospitality left. Their sept have done horrid crimes. No.
Which is why my concern, because this is not simply just an aspect of the Snow Queen, as it was a freehold as well. It has been warped by the touch of the Fae.
Then we
The three Fae who are with him, he says, no disrespect intended, but you operate in a different fashion than we do.
remove it and bring it back to the original source of Gaia's light.
Grace finally makes an appearance. Just out of fucking nowhere. I mean, I don't know. From behind a tree, from whatever. It's kind of one of those things where she's been out of sight, steps finally up to the fire. How in the fuck are they moving a whole cairn anyways? It's goddamn heretical. It's a natural well in a Gaia. You don't just move it around willy-nilly.
No, but apparently they killed their alpha and took the heart of the cairn.
And how? How did they move the heart of the cairn? It's a natural occurrence. It's like a wellspring. You don't just dig up a hot spring and move it somewhere else.
Why don't you ask a Theurge?
I've talked to a lot of Theurges. You know one thing that's held true the whole time I've been in the nation? Cairns don't move. They occur where they occur, and Garou are where the cairns are. It's like a feature of the landscape. You don't just pick up a mountain. You don't just pick up a well.
Thorgrim looks at you and says, well, that's technically true. That is also power manifested into that heart as an object. Most of the time, that object is large enough, it's not mobile.
And so, tell me, this was the place it was before? Was that where it originally came to be? Or had it already been moved before?
Well, that's where, again, we come back to, originally, it was not a cairn heart. It was an anchor for the Fae folks' freehold. And I don't know the ins and outs. And if you want to talk to them and understand the mechanical workings of their fairylands, I suggest you get good and drunk before you do so.
Don't.
But because it was not originally a cairn heart and it did not naturally form,
Then how is it a cairn heart? Cairns are natural. They don't just come out of nowhere.
If it was evolved in the Fae, they could have done something to it.
Fucking just rubs her hair.
It is very logical that they could have easily tampered with it to unyield it from its original purpose, like Gaia intended. The Fae are heretical. No offense.
Why would I be offended?
Not talking to you.
Why would you be offended?
There are gestures over. But if we are to restore it like we planned, we should restore it back to its original purpose. Set the clock back. That way it starts off whole and of Gaia. So there is no more of this.
Its original place, a proper Gaian totem.
You know, Air has seen certain things with that Karen area. Veronica looks at Air.
What do you mean certain things? We've seen plenty of shit go on there.
Or the fact
This isn't exactly the place for vagaries.
the Zygarde, the fire giant.
The fact that it literally was stolen from the Fae?
Come again?
The Sept of the Frozen Forest initially belonged to the Fae. They were just using it as a base of operations with the permissions of the Fae. And in some long and the short of it is they made an oath to leave it when they were done with their purpose. and took it instead of leaving. Took it as their own. So,
Thorgrim rubs his forehead and looks over and to the looks over to Gregor and he says, I sure hope you brought some proper drink for this meeting.
So is it even really? She looks over there. Is it even really a proper cairn, or is it some Fey thing that they've gone and bound a spirit to and gone and twisted it into some Fey nonsense by binding it there?
she kind of holds her hand out towards Grace. That's how I understood it. That's what I've been.
Thorgrim looks and
It's been
says,
going through my head this whole time, and I've mentioned it a few times, and that maybe not to you guys, but
Oh no,
yeah.
I see how it is. No, it's fine. Just
yeah. Thorgrim looks and says, there was always a more of a theoretical discussion of what would happen if you enacted a right of cairn building on a place of power that already existed. Be that a natural wellspring such as a sorcerer taps and drains, a haunt where the dead are nearer, or a changeling waygate where the faithful cross.
So you're telling me it's one of these Fey things and someone just bound a spirit to it?
Effectively, yes, they created a artificial cairn, so to speak.
Then maybe we should damn well just release her and stop twisting a natural spirit to something Fey and give it the hell back.
That might be the better option to do.
This place is crazy the fuck enough.
Runa just she starts to speak, turns around, puts her hands up in the air. I can't. This,
I know.
No. I will discern some form of proper punishment for what has been done.
Just make sure you say heresy a whole lot. Because I'm pretty sure that's some straight up sacrilege, binding a spirit to something that's not a cairn.
I'm certain it is, yes. But
that poor thing, I hope she goes back the way she's supposed to be once she's out.
That would be something we would speak to a Theurge about. And
I mean, it's no wonder they don't know how to fucking behave themselves or follow their totem. I bet you she doesn't even have a choice but to give them her boon. All fucking misbound to some shit as she's not supposed to be.
So you are saying she's effectively just a very powerful fetish at the moment?
I mean, if you can just pick her the fuck up and walk around with her. I mean, she looks over, looks at the Theurges, would you say that's technically wrong?
Thorgrim kind of looks and he goes, I suppose I never looked at it in that fashion. But it was the heart had always been a stone obelisk embedded in a large tree. So we kind of took that to be.
What did they do? Cut down the tree to fucking move it?
They burned it with their elf on it.
Yeah, no, that just screams heresy. There's not even a strong enough word for how fucking heretical that is.
They burned the entire place down.
No, fuck all of that.
Not the entire place.
Runa takes a rage.
Yeah, I mean, to say Grace is getting more animated is kind of.
They burned the tree that had the heart. Not the entire sept wasn't burned, but a good chunk of it was.
Yeah, we need to get the damn thing back. Let Snow Queen go back to being Snow Queen. Give the Fae back their whatever it is. We don't need that.
Yes.
We have a proper cairn to care for. No wonder they were so close together. That never happens. She whips around to Eric. I told you that never happens.
This is a cairn that was violated from the time of its creation.
I mean, it's all creation, yeah. What's a violation?
If any of this conjecture holds any merit, that is what this is, and they are guilty of violating a cairn. And the punishment for that is death.
That's the only thing all the tribes agree on, really.
Oh,
Except
Well,
their hair.
So what we are saying,
they're long gone by now, but
So-
they still uphold it.
what we are saying is, if Runa's logic is followed up, is correct, that no one survives.
Whoever made it has to die. The others, they may not fucking know any better. Fuck, and we didn't know any better till just now.
I would.
But I feel like a sense worm goes a long way, don't you think?
The individual who initially made it is dead.
Oh, good. Well,
Grace,
Those,
calm,
whips around.
calm.
those,
See her
who,
literally do the woosaw.
those who burned the tree containing the object that was known to be the cairn heart are just as guilty of violating a cairn heart.
Yes. Yes,
It
they
is
are.
twice violated. They will die.
Absolutely.
Those that
So if
knew.
it is not truly a cairn heart, how can it be a violated cairn heart?
Because they believed it was when they did it and did it anyways. Would you go and burn the stuff around the cairn here?
No, but I prefer explosives over just fire myself.
Are you fucking high? You've been playing too much of that Candy Crush shit?
Let's not start
She just
arguing
smirks.
Let's not start arguing each other, otherwise you will lose.
This is what I would recommend as a philodox.
If they're binding spirits at will and blending them in with the Fae, that is something that we cannot allow. It goes against everything we're doing.
That is something that would likely cause a cairn to be violated from the moment of its creation. And to violate a violated cairn is still a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then we will need to figure out how to unbind it after we sack this place.
Well, Air kind of glances over in the direction of the Fae present. Maybe they can assist with part of that being as, I mean, it was initially theirs. Maybe not theirs specifically, but you get the idea.
I would suggest
Actually, from what I have known from the Fae, the Ice Queen in particular, they have been here for many hundreds of years, long before the Garou made it a cairn. Not that that really matters. The same individuals have been here.
Amon, the one who's quite distinctly Fey, says, yes, we will sever the freehold from the stone, from the object. It will effectively break it loose and cause it to drift into the dreaming, which is, well, my understanding is something similar to your Umbra.
And what will that do to the Cairnhead? I'm assuming that will shatter it.
Well, it will remove any Fey essence from it, meaning it should be, at that point, no longer protected.
Would it still even be a Cairnheart? Or would it just release the totem and set the Fey magic spec where they belong?
I do not know if it will unbind the spirit, but it may be that you end up with a spirit bound into a rock and nothing more.
That's easy enough to break.
What of your people? Have you or your land suffered any ill from this
We are here.
tragedy?
We came here because we had been informed that the freehold was involved in this creation, which, of course, as we have established, is a twisted mockery and, among other things, we had initially thought we were coming here as to put down those who had for quite long been secured. However, given what we have heard today, I suspect they have been secured, but the lock on the gate was on the other side, so to speak. It seems to me, if everything said was true, that they were bound due to their agreements and deals, and the further action, they were simply trapped.
Is the trespass of our kind against yours, the punishment for that being death, is that satisfactory to you? Or do your lawgivers wish to discuss taking their pound of flesh as well?
I am the highest ranked noble in the area, and indeed was granted authority to establish a barony here myself, once this was resolved. So, I would ask that step one would be the removal of those who did it. As additional recompense, I would ask assistance in establishing that barony.
Assistance.
Help me find a suitable location and ensure that we do not have intruders while we do so.
I will aid in this if that is what you desire.
I know not much of your kind or their ways, but if you need protection while you do it, that is well within my ability.
No help.
We will establish a new freehold, and should you choose to establish a new sept, we can assist with that, but they will be independent entities, free of this blasphemy.
Independence sounds healthier for the both of us.
That being said, I understand you are excellent hunters, and we do enjoy a good hunt for sport as well, so independent need not mean we ignore one another.
An agreement can be worked out. Perhaps something we do during the equinoxes. That way, we ourselves are not steeping too much into each other, but still honor traditions that we both follow.
Those details can be worked out at a later date, but something along those lines seems prudent, as well as any trade should there be a advantage to doing so. I understand you are skilled artisans among your people as well.
There is an irony here of us condemning Fey-influenced Gaian, and now we are talking about making deals with them.
We are discussing at best a trade agreement and non-aggression pact.
That I can live with.
That is distinctly different than being roommates, so to speak.
So long as it is that, then I am satisfied, and my people are satisfied.
Gregor nods and says, "Very well then, eradication of this mockery sept will be our first step. At that point, you will decide for yourselves how you wish to pursue any future expansion.
Nod.
We will establish ourselves independently afterwards, with assistance being provided for a sufficient duration for us to become secure."
I'll arrange a team that we can start poking and prodding to get our kinfolk back. I trust everyone here in this room is ready for that.
Thorgrim nods and says, "I'll arrange to get the adequate kinfolk present."
Nod. Then let us part ways so there's not too much suspicion.
Thorgrim nods and says, "I would agree. Perhaps it's best if we split up by tribe at this point as well. Let them not recognize that the intertribal cooperation extends beyond the war pack."
Nod. They know who I am and where my pack is if they wish to try. I'll be waiting.
Oh, wouldn't that be a treat?
Merg just nods to everybody and just turns to start walking away. Unless anyone's stopping him, of course.
No, but the other get do kind of get up and start heading with him.
Rena will be close behind.
You're just kind of. Yeah, she'll move, but she's kind of behind Runa, turtling.
Thorgrim and Christina both are kind of following out as well, and Christina looks back and she says, "Perhaps there's a place we can get some decent food. I'm so tired of roast deer." You'd think at a certain point it would be heretical for a Fianna to live on venison as well, but
There's a diner around here.
It's all kinds of them.
Well, if we had our can, it'd be as easy as being like, "Oh, can you go get us some takeout?" But no,
Food for her.
no, I gotta go. Pokes her tongue out.
the Fianna of the War Pack remain with the Fae, and in fact they pull out some beverages, and one of the Fae Lord says, "Well, we might as well drink to our success now, in the hopes that we achieve it tomorrow."
There's a little on the button gesture, poking herself in the nose. Well, if anyone ever feels froggy enough to give me a metric buttload of cash, I'll go get 'em whatever takeout they want. I got my tricks. But she'll, unless someone gives her a poke or a look or a whatever have you, or a word, will probably flit off and, unless there are other Fianna that mean to walk with her, will flit off and just kind of do her disappearing act.
No, Gregor does gesture that you're welcome to join them if you want, for Faye and Fianna. Evening of drinking and eating, it seems. But the rest seem to kind of all be dispersing.
Veronica just watches things fold out as the lone Shadow Lord.
Abby gives Veronica a shoulder bump and kind of gestures to head on out.
Okay.
I think we are the only ones here of our own clan, and Lucas seems to have snuck off already somewhere into the woods. Probably smelled something to eat.
We're not our own. We're pack mates. Clear difference.
Oui, but everybody else is leaving with their tribe mates.
Over the pack link, you guys, you hear Air say, I think I'm gonna go get a drink, if you know what I mean. I think there's a certain little bar we haven't been to in a long time.
Oh. Yes. We should go there. And kind of to make sure nobody knows about the pack link, Veronica just says to Abby aloud, so I remember there was a rite you said you were going to show me, which we can claim off scene she teaches me rite of fetish making, because she said she wanted to do that.
Oui, oh, that reminds me, and she pulls out these little, it's like a little set of 3 feathers bound together, and she kind of just affixes it to your chest. I have one for everybody. It will be helpful.
Oh.
She's kind of cracking her knuckles as she's walking through walking out and talking on the back link.
All right.
Can you get final notes or anything, guys?
Anything else? Everybody good?
Yep.
All right, that should do it then.
Then we will call it a scene.
All right.